Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 355 for February 26, 2020. My name is Russell Frost, and I have the good fortune and privilege to be your host into this week's adventure into modern mobility and sustainable energy. And yeah, we changed that. I changed that. Modern, because advanced tech, it's too narrow. It's modern. We want to talk about everything. So mobility, how do you get from point A to point B? That's what the show's about. Part of the other parts, what energy do you use to get there? Hopefully you're doing something clean. But anyway, enough rambling about our show. Welcome to this week's What Drives Us. Let's start out by introducing my co-host on this show, my good friend. For some reason, he's dressed for baseball, Mr. Tony Schaefer.
Oh, that reason being that hockey season is dead to me.
Oh.
In certain parts of the country, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's we have two seasons here in Chicago. We have hockey and construction. So, yeah, they traded away a couple really good players right before the trade deadline, and so it's time for baseball. So tonight, I don't have the bottle, but tonight I'm doing a New Glarus spotted cow. So you can only get New Glarus in Wisconsin. They don't distribute outside the state. So one of the benefits of living on the Illinois and Wisconsin border is that I get to drink Wisconsin beer and pay Illinois taxes.
Yay! And you're breaking state laws by bringing it across state line.
Yes, and I do it, and I make sure and I open one as I'm driving across.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, living dangerously.
That's it. And really, as long as you're playing video games on your phone too, life's golden.
It's all good.
Life's golden. Well, speaking of a golden life, he is our friend on the Front Range in the Rocky Mountains, the owner and main tech at Boulder Hybrids. You know him, and I know him as Paul Guzik.
Hey everybody, hopefully you can hear me. One of my stupid Apple Pods thing is not happy, but do you hear me okay out there?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. And I'm drinking
we gotcha.
A peach pale ale today.
Ooh.
Better than the Genesee I had last time.
Where is Lone Tree?
Well, Lone Tree is a suburb of Denver. I wonder if this beer is actually related to that. I didn't even look. Yes, Lone Tree, Colorado.
Wow. There you go. All right.
Look at that.
Local.
Well, our friend in the Mid-Atlantic region, he is expecting some wintry-like weather. So tomorrow, while I'm enjoying 84 degrees and clear blue skies, our friend Kacey Green will be enjoying fresh snow.
I hope not.
Fresh snow.
I hope not. Oh, man. But to answer your question, robot legs.
That really is the answer to so many problems. Robot legs. I get that.
Yeah.
And speaking of snow, I have no idea what the weather's like up there, but our friend in the Great White North, Mr. Mark Coughlin.
It is certainly great, and it is certainly white today. So, yeah, it's going to snow overnight, probably 3-4 inches. So,
yikes.
But
what's that in metric?
Every day that goes by, we get one day closer to spring. So that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
Spring advent calendar.
I'm hoping
even on the calendar, Kacey, it's good.
I'm hoping for an early spring for all of my friends here and all of you out there. See, that's the sort of giving mood I'm in today. Well, speaking of the giving mood, let's give into the news because we've got a ton of it. So as I like to say, let's get this show on the road. The Buffalo News published a story. It's actually an opinion piece. It's a commentary. So does that mean that there's no factual information in there? I leave it to you, the astute viewers and listeners of What Drives Us, to decide. David Robinson published this earlier today. It includes the news that broke today, which is Panasonic is pulling out of the Tesla factory in Buffalo, New York. They are ending their partnership there and will no longer partner with Tesla in making batteries and solar panels there. or excuse me, solar panels. I don't think they make batteries.
No, just
No,
solar panels.
Just solar panels.
Yeah.
This is sort of the ongoing tale, sadly, of what I would, let me just put this right out there, Tesla's malfeasance with their solar energy division. Since Elon insisted that the stock owners of Tesla, the shareholders of Tesla, bail him and his cousins out, he's been trying to sort of quietly choke to death the solar division. And this is certainly a step in that right direction. Now, does that mean that Tesla's going to beef up and ramp up, as Elon likes to say, and start making solar glass, no longer called solar roof, solar glass in Buffalo, New York? It could mean that. And you know what? I honestly do hope it means that for the people of Buffalo, for the taxpayers of the state of New York who put in over $1 billion building this little fun spot for Elon. But I got to tell you, no, what's going to happen is this. He's going to hire the people to get away from paying the $41 million fine. He has to have 1,500 employees per the contract that he signed with the state of New York to get that factory. And then he's going to fire them a few months later, and this is going to go away. And that's what's going to happen.
I disagree.
I also disagree. Also, they manufacture the V3 superchargers there, and they've got a lot of work to do there.
They're actually
right?
above the hiring quota already.
Allegedly.
Well, according to their calculations and reporting to the state, yes.
Yes.
Has anybody
Assuming they're
gone
not
out and
fraudulently-
counted the cars in the parking lot?
Exactly. Thank you.
What
That's
if they don't have to drive? You got public transport.
Let's
they
keep
all take the bus.
Yeah, they'll take the bus. Until recently, there was under 1,200 Tesla employees there, and that includes Panasonic. Panasonic had over 300 employees. That Tesla has already said they're going to hire some of them, but the sad thing for me is, because I believe in solar energy, because I think it's a good thing, that Elon's played this game with it. And again, the people of New York put $1 billion into this, and it's so far been a big boondoggle.
I certainly agree that it hasn't gone the way that we wanted it to go. I would certainly agree to that. But the amount...
And Buffalo could kind of need some jobs, right?
Buffalo definitely could use it.
Desperately.
And actually any community could use it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I think has happened is that Elon overextended the company in purchasing the Solar City option. And when it came right down to it, he had to focus all his efforts on the build out of the Model 3 at that particular time in order to keep Tesla afloat. And now that that's happened and they're over that hump, they say they're going to turn their attention to the solar glass and the production of it. And I see no reason to doubt that he will do what he says he will do, and start doing a little bit more focus on that to start building it up. But I understand why it actually suffered, and it was due to the ramp up of the Model 3 and the production problems they had in the beginning. They had to have all hands on deck and spend all the money they could on making sure that that Model 3 ramp actually worked and worked well.
Yeah, Model 3 almost killed the company, and it still is affecting service to this day. And we're starting to see more deployments of the solar glass, now they call it, as well as the traditional panels out in the social media sphere, like just randos that don't work for Tesla are saying, hey, this is my roof, and they show a picture. It is legit.
So are you saying the 1,500 people allegedly working in the Buffalo were working on Model 3?
No, I'm saying the Model 3 screwed up the whole company for quite a while.
But it didn't screw up SpaceX.
That's a different company.
Well, but what does solar glass have to do with building a car?
It's the same company.
But you had 1,500 people on the payroll.
Yeah.
Working on solar glass.
And they had to, because of their contract they've signed with the state of New York. They were required to have certain staffing, and they abided by those rules, the contract that they signed.
Yeah,
but I don't understand how the rollout of the Model 3 can cause the people in Buffalo, New York, working on a fully separate product.
Well, you know that the solar glass has now gone through 3 iterations. It's now on the third iteration.
Least, yeah. Right, at least.
There were certainly difficulties with the connection, the installation of those tiles to each other and to some sort of a network in the roof that would allow the energy to move from tile to tile, and they certainly had to revamp it. And I'm sure some of those employees at Buffalo were working on those projects to get it into the next iteration. And I'm sure some of them were underemployed. I'm sure some of them weren't doing much. But that, of course, is also why they moved the building of the superchargers into the Buffalo, New York factory as well.
Yeah.
But I want to circle back because it's real easy to say that the Model 3 got in the way. We haven't yet rolled around to say how the people working on getting the multiple layers of solar glass to adhere to one another and build the mesh that goes onto the roof was affected by the rollout of the Model 3.
Because Tesla did not have an extra dime to spend on R&D and extra. They had no extra money. It was being all pushed into the production of the Model 3 and the rollout.
And then on top of that, you've got the engineering is happening in California, manufacturing is happening in New York, the test installs are happening in California. They didn't have the management oversight that they needed.
Who planned
Model 3 had all their attention.
I'm sorry, who planned that?
Your favorite Tesla employee.
Right. That's what I mean. So listen, if this isn't fraud, and I'm going to say it's outright fraud, just my opinion, but it's outright fraud. It's at least gross mismanagement. We're going to build our solar factory 3,000 miles away from our engineering and development area.
And it certainly could have been a buyout for Elon's cousins too. That all rolls in there, I understand, but I think what they're trying to do with the factory is not mothball it. Yeah. I don't think they're trying to eliminate it. I don't think they're trying to bury the product. I don't think they're trying to fire everyone. I think they are now renewed on trying to push this product forward and be successful.
I would like to believe you,
Panasonic
Mark.
must have just said, something's not right here. We're out of here. Because
again, Tesla did not have the money to buy the amount of cells from Panasonic that Panasonic was expecting to sell. Yeah. Panasonic was just, they were stuck with these extra cells and they actually had to go to the other market and sell them on the open market.
Yep. And so that's why they're ordering blank cells from China?
Who, Panasonic or Tesla?
Tesla.
Tesla's doing it to be cheap, but
Panasonic's doing it because the blank solar glass panels are made in China.
Oh, the glass and the solar cells are separate. The glass is manufactured elsewhere, but those cells are built in the Gigafactory, and they are assembled in the Gigafactory.
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo. Yes, the Gigafactory, New York.
I think we all want
they could have handled it way better.
Because like if there was a business case for Panasonic, they wouldn't bail, right?
Well, Panasonic tried to bail from the original.
If Panasonic was selling to the contract or the amount that they expected to be at this point, after Tesla basically stopping production or slowing down to the point it was crawling, they feel it's not going to be successful. Obviously, they feel it's not worth their time and effort at this point.
Clearly, and let's go ahead, Kacey.
This is something we've seen from Panasonic before at Gigafactory Nevada. They didn't want to give Tesla the quantity of battery cells they needed. They said they looked at their charts. They said conservatively, this is not enough. And
I don't buy that. I'm sorry, that's bullshit.
It was at their
bullshit from a CEO who's
it was at the Panasonic announcement. It was like, we're not going to invest anymore. And then
cracks me up how they're supply constrained and they're not supply constrained. It's laughable how that becomes a shifting excuse for whatever we can't do Powerwall because we're supply constrained. Oh, everything's going into the Model 3. Now everything's going into the Model Y. I get it. And then yet what? It's sort of like Trump. There's so many layers of bullshit that I just get tired of digging through. Okay.
But at the same time, though, that's why they're doing the batteries in China from cattle instead of using everything they've got.
Panasonic, because they're supply constrained, or
that gives them more supply.
Or like we guesstimate they're required to buy X amount
That's
of
probably
parts
really what it is
in China.
Absolutely.
Based on getting those loans for the Gigafactory.
I would agree with that completely.
Because we know that Tesla manufactures its own batteries in the United States, and if they wanted to manufacture batteries in China, they could just build a battery factory.
They are,
and that
actually,
and you know that thing. If they were able to get cars up and running in 9 months, I would find it hard to believe that they couldn't do the same thing.
The shell for the battery factory is already up, is my understanding. In
Where
China.
is that?
Right next door.
Right beside the Gigafactory Shanghai.
Is it really? Okay.
Which is funny because they still haven't finished Sparks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sparks Nevada is still like only part of what it was supposed to be. So it's not really giga anything. It's incomplete.
Well, the structure is, but the output is quite giga. It's at what, 35 gigawatt hours last year?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought they were supply constrained.
They're using every cell. I mean,
they may be supply constrained on their own accord, but they are 35 gigawatt is what's been advertised.
And then on top of the 35 gigawatt hours, you're still buying from Panasonic, buying from the Chinese companies, buying from Samsung and LG. And
I think the 35 gigawatt is strictly the 2170s. That's that number.
Correct.
Yeah, so Powerwall, Power Pack, Model 3, and the experimentation stuff.
Okay, and so back to solar. I think we all want to have a solar roof on our house and a battery in our garage and an electric car next to the battery in the garage. We all want that.
Agree.
Yes.
I mean, so none of us are saying this is a stupid idea and whatever. It's just that, Russell is expecting Elon to be arrested for fraud.
No, I will say this. Solar Roof has never been a real product. Solar Roof has always been a pretend product. Okay? Always.
Well, at the very least, it's built by hand.
It's always been a pretend product. It's always been a fraud. Call it what you will. Tesla making solar panels in Buffalo is a cool thing with Panasonic. Yay, that's good. But they've never had solar roof or solar glass. It's never really worked. And even now, as it's being quote unquote ramped up, God, I wish that phrase would just disappear. The ramping up, what we're seeing is with half the panels are coming from China, not from New York. And we're seeing maybe a handful. We're not talking about dozens or hundreds, which would still be very small. We're talking about there's one person here and there's one person here and there's one person here that allegedly are getting these things installed. It's a fake product.
I agree. The volume's not there. It's just not. And we're all waiting for the volume to happen, and it hasn't happened.
There's a reason it's never happened because it's not a real product. They have nothing to sell, is what I'm trying to say.
Or is a product that was pushed out prematurely.
There you go.
And then they discovered problems with it and said, you know what? They glossed over it. We'll be able to fix this. And they have not been able to fix it.
Okay, right there, Mark. I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
I think Mark nailed it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what gets me is the reason I think we argue about this so much is that we are the ones who 3 and 4 years ago were, with bated breath, waiting for these solar roofs to come out, looking at the pictures and saying, "Oh my God, I want that," and with an infinity warranty and all of the promise that was going to come with this, and we fell for that. I fell for that. What it was, a hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, they dropped the warranty down to 30 years now.
Ah, geez. See, for 3 or 4 years, I've wanted this to be a real product. And I'm just annoyed that there was all the hype and all the excitement and all the press and all the everything. And then you just stopped hearing about it. It just fell off a cliff. And it became, hey, look, it's a shiny Model 3. Look over here. It's a Cybertruck. And then Solar Roof disappeared.
Yeah. Kind of like an Osborne sort of situation, except there was no other product to push off of the way.
Only thing I can take solace in, Tony, is that is that he has come through with the others. The timetables have been off, but I'm driving one of the things that he said he would create, and he did it, and the market loves it, and I love it.
Right. Yeah, and I can't fault that. Yeah, that's just, I don't know. I mean, it's like I had a golf pro telling me one day that if someone plays a round of golf and they hit a whole bunch of crappy shots and they get one really good shot, that's the one shot they'll remember.
Yeah, but that's a bad analogy because
no. I know. I'm about to flip that, Mark. Don't worry. I'm about to flip that. When I'm at work, if I do 10 things and I nail 9 of them and I miss one, I get dinged for the one.
Mm-hmm.
So, same thing but flipped. So, is that what we're doing here right now?
Absolutely.
No.
Except Russell, but yes, absolutely.
No. And I'll real briefly, because I don't want to spend the whole show on this one topic, but the problem that I've always had with Elon, and that I especially have in the last couple of years, is that Elon has the potential, because of his level of visibility, because of his level, everybody knows him. If he shits the bed, it hurts everybody in that product category. Okay? If all of a sudden he doesn't deliver full sale FSD to everyone who paid $6,000 to $8,000, whatever it was, and he's got to refund that money, it hurts everybody who makes high-tech electric cars. Yep. Okay? Everyone in the country goes, oh, geez, that guy's a freaking genius, and he totally blew it. He totally choked. It's not that I don't expect him to be aspirational and to reach. I expect him to be a responsible CEO, and yeah.
I believe he's getting more responsible as the years go by, but I also believe that he bet the company on the Model 3. A lot of CEOs would never have done such a thing, and he bet the company. And you know what? He gambled and he won.
Tony Stark, baby.
So far.
Tony Stark killed people. I don't think that's the person you want to go with.
But that character was actually modeled. The movie one was modeled after Musk. I mean,
that's what they say.
Jesus, no, come on.
He's that roll the dice kind of guy, and it's scary watching it happen.
Elon Musk was born. Let's not talk about Tony Stark being modeled on Elon Musk.
The movie one.
Yeah, well, he wasn't a good actor, all right? I just have that to say. He had 2 lines to deliver 5 seconds of screen time, and it was not fun to watch.
He's not a good public speaker. Do you expect him to be a good actor?
Jeez. What else is on the docket tonight?
Let's go to our next story. And we're going to go to Kacey Green, who's got another electric car company to talk about.
I do. Guess who it is?
I'm praying to all the deities that it's not.
It's not them.
Faraday Future.
Oh no! Okay, I'm just gonna shoot the screen. It's Hyundai.
Yay, Hyundai!
So they've got this thing that looks like a 911 coming out, and they've partnered with Canoo. I've never heard of Canoo before.
Do you Canoo?
I mean, I've heard of a Canoo, but not the company Canoo.
CANOO.
Yeah. Here's what it looks like. It's very attractive.
Yeah.
And
wish them luck.
Canoo's other offering. That's what's going to be running through the tunnels in Vegas, by the way. It'll be the Canoo thing.
Yeah. It's a public transit type thing, is it not? Like a small van.
They'll be canoodling.
Yeah, canoodling. Absolutely.
Had to go there, didn't we?
You started it.
I'm sorry, Kacey, please. So Hyundai's going to make an electric 911?
Yeah, that's what they say. But it's probably just a concept car, really.
But I'll tell you what, so I've been reading about this, and I saw a couple articles about this, and they say, it's a concept, but the lines and the form, and, and they say that this is one of those things, and I remember Ford doing this with their sedans when they went with the ridged roof and the new headlights and the stuff, and they were using this concept to draw from. If this is where Hyundai's going with their electric cars and their sports cars, this is really nice.
Yeah. I mean, they have EV tech. They've got a plug-in hybrid. They've got They've been in hybrids forever. They've got the Kia electric. They've got the Soul EV. They've got the Ioniq, and then all their hydrogen crap. Just rip out that gaseous garbage and put in some batteries.
I was putting together the video of John B. at the Chicago Auto Show with the Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, I forget off the top of my head, like 54 miles per gallon highway.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's amazing.
Nice
yeah,
it's nice. Now the Ioniq's kind of a bowl of cold oatmeal.
Oh,
but it's not bad.
Technically, they've got the technicals. They just need to now make it sexy, and it looks like they've.
Right, and that's what this is. Yeah, that's what
I was waiting for Paul to come in with a coda remark. I'm sorry. I tried.
Well, I will say the longevity of the Hyundai stuff is nowhere near as good as Toyota as far as their hybrid engineering.
So. It looks like they've engineered them to last the warranty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes, if you want a car that will last 150,000 miles, buy a Hyundai hybrid.
There you
go.
go.
By the way, 300,000 miles, buy a Toyota.
What is your viewpoint, Paul, on Hyundai's full electric though?
Not enough exposure to, I saw the Kia Soul compliance car, which was garbage, but I haven't seen they're not for sale yet in Colorado, or at least none have come through my shop yet.
Wait, what? Why is it garbage? You worked on a Soul?
Yeah, they're just any compliance car is garbage.
Yeah, because they do the bare minimums at the maximum cost. Yeah.
I actually didn't mind. I thought the Soul Electric was a lot more fun than the Soul Gas.
Well, yeah. It's fun to drive, but they're not engineered to last a long time or for battery life.
I see. Okay.
Like the one that we had in our shop, I don't know, was rated at 90 miles range when it was new, and at 20,000 miles on the clock, it had a range of like 60 miles. So.
Ooh. Yeah. That's not good.
But of course, they've pushed those up. I don't know if the battery's any better in the longer range Souls, because the Soul, the Nero, which is the brand new one, and then the Kona are all basically the same platform.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think if it's a 50-state car, it is going to work better because they're going to spend way more time debugging it, doing the engineering, the testing. Where the compliance cars, they just throw them out in the market with a minimum amount of engineering,
or even subcontract them.
Yeah. So. But I have seen the Hyundai Kia, like regular hybrids, their transmissions do not last like a Toyota does. So.
Yeah. Also, I was saying about the warranty. If you buy it secondhand, the million mile whatever they claim on the powertrain
evaporates.
It's gone instantly. Especially the battery. The battery is gone.
Right.
I had a friend who got burned by that. She had to come up with a couple grand. Right at 101,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Paul,
I don't argue. Hired some stylists to make the cars look cool.
I won't argue.
Or the concept cars
about techniques. That's for sure. I just enjoyed. I enjoyed the Soul EV when I drove it, and I had a really horrible experience in the Soul Turbo, which was a really disappointing car. You can ask Evan Fusco about that. Evan and I drove around in San Diego for a few days in that car, and it was aggressively awful.
Wow.
Just not fun. Not fun at all. Which I guess maybe that was, that made it easy for the EV to come through. Well, let's go to our next story. Let's go to Tony Schaefer for something totally different.
Yeah, so you guys know that I like reporting on technology stuff, whether it's new batteries or anything, and we always say that electric vehicles get greener when the grid gets greener, and so we were talking about Tesla's solar roof. So here is an article about solar cells, and it turns out that there was, and I take a little bit of issue with what they called a like a flaw or something. It was called light-induced degradation. Yeah, there we go. Light-induced degradation. And apparently, it gave the impression.
If you shine lights on the solar cells, they stop working. Is that?
Yes, it turns out that solar cells just don't work in the sun. And no, I'm just kidding. Okay, no. Actually, what happens is within the first hour of solar cell use, they drop efficiency 2%. And this is something that has been noted, according to this article, for the last 40 years. And for 40 years, people have tried to figure out why within the first hour, all the solar cells drop 2% efficiency. So somebody
I know they
finally
get less
cracked
efficient when
it.
they get hot.
Right, and
Loses
see, and
efficiency. Right.
yeah, and that's part of it. So what they did here, the latest studies, they use something called deep level transient spectroscopy. I don't know, big words, whatever. So what they found was, as the electronic charge in the solar cells gets transformed from sunlight into the charge, the flow of electrons get trapped. So it kind of bottlenecks, and that reduces the level of electrical power. And that's why, and it happens when it gets hot. So this is why you see that drop, and you see it within the first hour as the temperature of the solar cell increases. Now, what's crazy is they couldn't find it, and one of the reasons is because it was heat induced. So they would pull the solar cell and they would investigate it, and they couldn't find it. But they had to, like sort of monitor it while it was working, and that's where this DLTS, deep level transient spectroscopy, worked. So anyway, they found out what the cause was. It was this bottlenecking. The electrons get trapped as it gets heated. And so one of the people from the University of Manchester said, we've proved that the defect exists. Now it's an engineering fix that is needed. Now, the thing is, what I said, this is a 2% drop. And you think, well, 2% is not that great. That's not much to argue about. Except, you guys know what the current efficiency of solar cells are?
Right.
In the 90s.
24%?
No, it's like, it's pretty low.
Oh,
Like
not the electrical
20s.
efficiency. The
The 20s
conversion.
or 30s,
I think
depending
I think
on the panel.
26
Yeah.
is the top of the line one, and most
Yeah.
of them are 22 to 24.
Mhm.
Yeah, so 2% is something to argue over here, and they put it into perspective, and they said the estimated loss, and they're talking globally here. You see, you talk about how many panels are installed in solar farms around the world. That 2% is estimated to equate more energy than can be generated by the United Kingdom's 15 nuclear power plants.
Yeah. I mean, imagine.
That's huge.
Yeah. Imagine how much loss there is in one medium-sized field that your local power company is putting out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you gain just 2%, and that's massive. So hopefully they'll be able to figure out a solution, and we'll have more efficient solar panels getting out there. So yeah, we always say, green the grid and green the cars. So hopefully this is one step in that direction.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
will this make them last longer as well if they were able to engineer this solution?
That was not part of the article, but you would think that possibly. Yeah, because maybe you wouldn't have this bottlenecking, the trapping of the electrons. If things could flow more easily, maybe you would see less wear. I'm not really sure how it works.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point, though, Kacey. I mean, it'd be nice if, we got another 10 years out of them.
Yeah, because I was reading an article 2 years ago now. They had actually took the solar panels that came originally off the White House when Reagan got in and ripped off Carter's panels. They actually went to a university. They didn't chuck them in the garbage. And that university decided that, since the rated lifetime had gone by, they were going to go ahead and replace them. But before they put the replacements in, they tested them. And they tested at, I want to say another 5% more than they were expecting. So they ended up putting in the new panels that they had already ordered, and then put the existing panels, put them elsewhere, because they were still putting out a useful amount of electricity.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Beautiful thing. Well, let's I want to talk about something that I saw on the Ford. Ford had a press release this week, and we've kind of talked around this issue, and it's certainly an issue that's more and more that's impacting more and more of us as we drive, and that's sort of driver monitoring, whether it's for tax purposes or insurance purposes or safety purposes, or whatever it is.
Ambulance chasers.
Yeah.
We have the tools to really to monitor how you're driving and what you're driving. Ford is rolling out a program right now with nationwide insurance that you can connect through your Ford Pass or Lincoln Way app. You can sign up for their insurance. And I'm going to read some of this just so you get an idea. Quote, this is from the Ford Media Center. This is exactly what Ford says. Quote, by logging onto their Ford Pass or Lincoln Way app, clicking on the insurance tile and filling in some information, customers in 39 states with qualifying 2020 Ford or Lincoln vehicles can purchase a policy in minutes and become eligible to save up to 40%. Asterisk.
Up to.
Let's go down to the asterisk, folks, because sometimes the devil isn't in the details. Asterisk. Availability varies. Program criteria differs in California. Stated discounts are approximations. Give me a minute on this because the best one is the last sentence. Discounts do not apply to all coverage elements. Actual savings vary by state, coverage selections, rating factors, and policy changes. Participation discount applies during data collection. Final discount is calculated on driving behavior and could be zero.
So they should have a zero bullshit rule that just says what this really means is you get a 2% discount.
Exactly. Final discount applies at the next policy renewal and is subject to change based upon actual actuarial support at subsequent renewals or with driver change. In other words, it's all bullshit.
So you got to be signed up for a year or 6 months to even get the discount?
And then you're not going to get 40%.
Yeah.
Right. And okay. So you are the product. What are they getting out of this? How are they mining your data? What are they doing with this?
They sell it to
they've got their fingers in the car that you own and know every little bit of information that car does.
Yep.
Asymmetrical information is one of the ways companies make money. They know more than you do about something, and they can use that information to leverage cash out of you. As I like to say, insurance never goes down. It always goes up. Mm-hmm. And all the insurance companies are looking for is a reason. Oh, we have this incident on February 26th here. We see you went 105 miles an hour. That's a 20% increase in your premiums for next year. Thank you.
Hey, but at least it was easy to sign up for it.
Right?
Oh, right.
On that insurance tile.
Yes.
And so with it sounds a lot like the Tesla insurance to me, actually. And I'm just as leery as that is like you said, they're in the car all the time.
Anyone that you have to connect a dongle to your car to send information to your insurance company, run, don't walk. Yeah. Just get away from it.
I mean, like my car, every time I drive more than a block, the thing is sending me an email. Hey, here's how fast it was. Here's how much energy was used. Here's where it went from here to there. And that's just me and a third party. Imagine the fact that the manufacturer actually still has this in this particular case.
There was an insurance policy that was monitoring the dongle in your car, mm-hmm. and they did that in an EV. And of course, they didn't know it was an EV when they plugged it in. And what happened was that when he used the regenerative braking, they thought that was aggressive braking.
Yes.
And he got charged extra for the car using regenerative braking.
Yep.
And I'd heard just the opposite. I've heard from hypermilers and other people who try and do 1 foot braking, that they ease into the corners and they make the turn without braking at a controlled speed. Don't worry, people aren't out there doing 70 miles an hour around corners. But the fact that it registered a turn but no braking, it said, oh, well, that's reckless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So even though they're making, like, let's say a left-hand turn because they timed the light in the traffic and at 20 miles an hour, they're rounding the turn. The fact that they made a 90-degree turn without touching their brake was reckless driving.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Alleged. Well, right, according to their analytics
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever they're looking at. Yes.
So now Ford has got their fingers in absolutely every analytic of that car that you own, and they're feeding it to the insurance and looking for those exact loopholes that Tony just mentioned in order to jack your premium.
And let's not forget that TomTom, the navigation people, were selling speed data to municipalities so the police knew where to set up the speed traps. Think of how many Fords are on the road and how much data they could mine on where people drive, what speeds.
This is one of the big battles that we're going to fight in the next decade. Is our privacy, is what is our data, and what does our car company, for instance, get to share with insurance companies or anybody else? Whether our medical data.
But that right there is, do you want your car company and your insurance company to be the same company if they know everything?
I don't. So, I mean, right. And the honest answer is I don't have anything to hide, but I still don't have to trust that relationship. I don't know that it benefits me.
It puts you at a disadvantage, like you said, asymmetrical information.
Like, what if you're on cold medication and your reaction time's a little slow and you're kind of doing this, and the car goes, "Oh, you're drunk," and tells your insurance company you're drunk and calls the cops.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, it's a slippery slope.
And you could certainly make a very, very interesting argument that that's a good thing, right? If we get drunk drivers off the road, that's amazing.
If they're really drunk.
But
yeah.
How many, what's the collateral damage?
Or you're just really tired because you work 14 hours and you're, but yeah.
Now, didn't OnStar lead the police to someone who did a hit and run? Do you remember that?
Wow, I don't know.
Oh yeah, if I remember correctly, somebody was it was a hit and run, but the hit was enough that it triggered OnStar.
Oh.
And then so the police were able to then just go find the person because they contacted OnStar, and OnStar said, "Oh yeah, well that car is currently right here."
Yeah, we need an ambulance for this car. Good to find you.
I mean, it's hard to argue against that specific scenario, but again, it's obviously the way these things can be misused that's really horrifying.
Yeah,
right.
Right. Let's go to Mark for our next story, who has some information about one of our favorite car companies.
Yes, the VW, which we all
love. VW.
We just love VW. They have, of course, started to manufacture the ID3 for Europe destinations, deliveries. And what has come up is that VW is actually producing the vehicles. They are leaving the factories. They are leaving by the truckload and the train load. They're going to storage facilities because VW apparently has a massive software problem in these cars. They're unable to get the software to work without multiple errors when the car is turned on and operated.
I thought, what I'm told, they're brilliant diesel software engineers. Can't
they? Hopefully they're in jail, Paul. But what we've got here is a company that's struggling with electrification and the software that's associated with it because it's new to them. They are trying to piece together a new system, a new operating system for these electric vehicles. And unfortunately, like, the car is fantastic. Look at it. It's like a Golf. The car, it's a hatchback. People would love to get their hands on this car. If it's all electric, that's even better. But they are in some struggles right now. And some reports are saying that the engineers that are out with the car are coming back after a day of testing with 300 plus errors that are appearing in the car's software system. They have now turned apparently 10,000 technicians onto this work to try to fix the problem, because every month that goes by, if there's a delay, they have it timed into their numbers for their emissions numbers. And if they go a month beyond when they say they were going to start to deliver those cars, it starts to affect them in fines. Mm-hmm. So they are struggling to get this done. And there's already a rumor that it's going to be a delay of the May launch, which is when it's supposed to happen. They're thinking it may push into the third quarter, which of course would be disastrous for the fine situation that's going to hit them if they don't get it set. And then the other problem is all these vehicles, to get the updated software and to change it, guess what? They're not over-the-air updates. You got to plug in a computer
at the dealer
into all these vehicles to get the updated software. So it's not completely disastrous. Obviously, you work on one till you get it done. Once you've got it rock solid, then you would send out 10,000 technicians into the field of cars, and you would get them to update them. But still, it's a major pain in the butt to have this done. And this is the problem that VW is facing right now at this moment, and it's not pretty for them. It's something that could really hurt them, and we don't know how successful they will be in solving the problem.
A good point, Mark, is that, I mean, this is VW, which has a gazillion engineers already. Like every other car company is going to have similar issues if they're new to EVs.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why don't they go to General Motors or Tesla and just buy a copy of their Linux for Cars and put it in there? And then tune it?
Because that doesn't look good on a company that says they have the engineers to do it in the first place and have told their stockholders that they would do it themselves and they have the capability of doing so.
Make them sign a gag order. You don't have to know it's Tesla or Chevrolet in there.
It would get out.
It would
definitely get out.
Yeah, but I mean, still, that's just, I mean, nothing screams crappy code base quite like 10,000 technicians working under a deadline.
Yep.
Nothing screams infinite monkeys with typewriters working on Shakespeare.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
I'm sorry. That's the image that came into my head. I'm like,
oh my God.
We need a baby in a month. Here's 9 women. Make it happen.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly. 9 women can't make a baby in a month, and they throw 10,000 technicians, and they think they're all going to create this awesome, harmonious source code that's just going to be perfect. No, it's going to be a whole
I would
bunch
say
of patches.
if you're on a reservation,
maybe they were doing it. Their calendar was the Elon time calendar.
Yes.
I would say that if you have an order for an i3 in Europe, because that's the first place it's supposed to hit, Germany and the European countries, you're in for a bit of a rocky ride. Even if they do get it done, it's going to be under the wire. There's going to be corners cut. And I hope you have a good relationship with your dealer, because you're probably going to be going in there to get things fixed quite often.
Get your weekly update.
I got a theory. They fired all the good engineers that did work on the cheat device. Yeah. So they're working with like second level engineers now.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't do all their testing in Drive and then you put it in reverse.
Yes.
And the car backs up.
Jesus.
You don't need reverse.
Reverse is overrated.
Yeah.
Put it in neutral for the car wash and the thing burns down.
Move forward. Yeah.
Well, folks, let's do some shout outs and go home. I think that's a good week's work. I feel tired. It must have been that solar glass tussle at the start. My own damn fault. Let's start with Kacey for some shout outs.
All right. So I've got a couple of how-to videos for Tesla, and then I've been visiting all the East Coast V3 superchargers that have been opening up in my region. So I've got a couple of those getting ready to hit the airwaves, and you can find them at youtube.com/Kacey Green. That's KACEYGREEN.
Beautiful. Mr. Coughlin.
Just a shout out to a group we're going to be visiting, Hacksmith, thehacksmith.ca. You can visit their website, and they've actually engineered a half-scale Cybertruck and are going to be debuting it to our Waterloo Region EVA group this Saturday in Kitchener. So if you're in the area or interested in coming to see the half-scale Cybertruck, electric run, 720 plus pound-foot of torque, all electric, iPad in it, running the lights, everything. This thing's exact. Feel free to send us a note at WREVA group on Twitter and send us a note that you'd like to attend.
Absolutely. And I saw it on the Tesla Life And if you can watch the Tesla Life show to see pictures of it, I do have one question, Mark. Look at that thing, okay? It is a 1/2 scale.
Yep.
Does that look like that one in that picture? Unless that dude is huge, that is not half the length of the Cybertruck or half the height. Right?
I'm just going by what I've been told.
I know.
I really don't know beyond that.
Looks like a quarter, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe it's a quarter scale. Maybe they just missed a number somewhere. It's still very cool.
Maybe. I will get more information on that and have it to report back next week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Do watch the Tesla Life. I'm sure you'll see a wrap up there. And you can follow Mark on Twitter. What's the Riva handle?
WREVA Group.
At Twitter. So do contact him if you're in the Kitchener-Waterloo region.
Bingo.
Dude is 2 meters tall.
If you need a Chesterfield from Jefferman's.
It's still there.
It's still there.
They're waiting for me to pick the damn thing up.
I hope they covered it over the winter at least.
I don't think so. It's going to be gross by the time I get there. Let's go to someone who's not gross, Mr. Paul Guzik.
If you got a hybrid or an EV in the Front Range of Colorado, we can fix it. Although we don't like to fix compliance cars, but we do work on them. And if you need a used hybrid or EV, check us out at boulderh.com. We have a few for sale always.
Always has. Do you have a hot special this week?
No.
Okay.
All right. Screw you. No special.
Well, speaking of special, Tony Schaefer, bring us home.
Woo! I'm special. So, I giving a shout out this
Special
week.
Olympics.
No.
Yes, very special. Oh, bless my heart. Yeah, so I'm going to give a shout out to Jeremy Big Dog Ray. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the news articles that you suggested, but they were good, and so hopefully we'll get to them next week. Definitely wanted to get to them. Also, shout out to all of our new subscribers. We've picked up a lot of subscribers recently, and so I want to say hey to all of them. Yeah, I'm not going to read them all out because even I would think that would be boring, but welcome aboard. That's all I'm saying.
Welcome aboard. I want to second that shout out to Jeremy Big Dog Ray. Thank you so much for doing that. Thanks to Philip Barclay for working with Tony as he does getting our news up. Our thanks to Patrick Connor, who posts a ton of news on the feed. All of these people contribute something so that the What Drives Us experience is what it is. And I am exceptionally grateful. We all are. I'll speak for everybody because that's what I'm good at doing. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. Go buy his songs anywhere but CD Baby.
Because
CD Baby sucks. CD Baby, yeah, whatever. But Michael Mannering is awesome, and he lets us use his music for free, and for that, we are eternally grateful. And
if you pay him enough money, he will do a personal concert for you in your home, right?
Evan, that cost Evan. There was no money involved.
Oh wow,
that's crazy.
He had a house concert for nothing.
What a good guy.
I've known the guy for 40 years, and I don't even get that. No, wait, that sounds bad. I got to be careful. But anyway, so manthing.com, please. Huge ask, as always, go to youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Please subscribe there if you have not. Please suggest us to your friends if you like what you see. Share it on social media. Tell a friend about it, and because we're always looking for that support. It costs you nothing, and it helps us immensely. So we appreciate your support. That's youtube.com/whatdrivesus. We are at What Drives Us on Facebook, at What Drives Us on Twitter. And if you want to support the show directly, if you want to give us cash, money out of your pocket, which God knows why, but maybe you do. We would be very appreciative. You can go to patreon.com/whatdrivesusshow. You can support the show there for as little as $1 a month. That's less than 25 cents per show. Patreon.com/whatdrivesusshow. I want to thank Kacey Green, Mark Coughlin, Tony Schaefer, and Paul Guzik for another incredible show. That's it for episode 355, gentlemen.
All right.
In the can.
In the can. And of course, as always, I want to thank all of you for watching and or listening. You're the reason we do the show. So thanks very much. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. I love that dramatic pause that I never get. You know? I think if I was better, I would be better at that. But see you next week, everybody. Thank you.
Go Cubs.